This evening, father and son found in decomposing in Camberville home. Minister's story on abuse and assault contradicted, and a Ling Avenue husband and wife are seeking justice as they feel advantage is being taken on them.
From Safe TV headquarters in South Rival Gardens, this is Safe TV Headline News with George Gonzalez.
Today is Tuesday, July 10, 2018, and our edition of this news is being streamed live on our Facebook page and YouTube channel. Thank you for joining us. I am Bibi Bacchus, sitting in for George Gonzalez. Today, investigators rushed to a home in Camberville after the discoveries of two decomposing men. Shamar Allen was on the scene.
Police detectives are probing the death of a man and his son, both of Camberville, Georgetown. Around midday today, investigators were called to the home at Craig Street and Delft Avenue after the bodies of the two men were discovered in the house in a partially decomposed state. The two dead men have been identified as 62-year-old Diwan Leah and his son, 26-year-old Gopal Leah. The father and son live alone in the upper flat of the two-story building. The tenant from the bottom flat of the residence contacted the men's family after noticing a strong stench coming from the top flat. The tenant noted also that the two had not been seen since Saturday. The police were called in and made the gruesome discovery this midday. At the scene, family members lined the street and argued among themselves as to why they were prevented by the police from entering the house. The family noted that the men had a substantial amount of valuables in the home and they do not trust the police. Police investigators at the scene would not go into any detail about the possible cause of death, but there are reports that the house was ransacked and the bodies of the two men were found in two different parts of the house.
Why you're not with right now? The police are supposed to take a family along with them, but they're gone by the cell phone. You understand? They're not with right now. Even one family, the man got a stop body, the man got a stop well stuck with everything, and the police supposed to take a family along with them. You can't barge in place just because of them. I ain't touching nothing. I thought a man have a touch. Okay. But they gone.
For Channel 2 Headline News, Shamar Allen.
Thanks, Shamar. Minister Simone Brooms' story, where she faulted the massive security, seems to have been refuted by CCTV footage. Esther Sobers saw the video recording and asked some folks in the street what they think of the situation.
Minister within the Ministry of Natural Resources, Simone Brooms, might be changing her tune as the footage from the massive security cameras tell a different story than the one she has been telling. The minister said yesterday that the two security guards attached to a security firm establishment in Providence were verbally abusive whilst pointing a service weapon at her. The police were summoned, the security guards were arrested, their service weapons were seized, and they were placed in custody. When news spread of the minister being assaulted by the security guards, many persons vented their frustrations on social media about the security guards' actions.
The work of the thing and just settle the matter because personally the security then probably didn't know that she was a government minister. And if so be the case, she should have introduced herself to the security and let them understand whether I'm a government minister, I come here to do some purchasing, I don't know the systems, that you all have here, and if you have to work it out, they could have worked it out and done with police and court and lock up and jail and these other things.
Persons reiterated that the security guards should have allowed the minister to park as ministers have special privileges.
I don't think as a minister of the government she's supposed to be wrong, friend. It's a parking there. You understand? She come to buy food, she was out of town. She can't manage to meet the town to get food, so she just tells the driver, just let me go and buy a new driver, like grab a snack for you and one for me. Oh man, it's a minister of the government, man. If the parking is for the owner, what harm, what hazard a woman could create? A one woman and one man in a car, what hazard they could create that because the security to go come there with the big service weapon, like if it's a robbery going on there.
But soon as she stepped out of the vehicle to move the barrier, the guard should have observed that it is the minister, and I think that you should have given her permission to park, because at the end of it, she's the minister of the country. So the views we had been given is wrong, because if it was Barry Jack, he was in power, and he did turn up there, nothing like they want to transpire. Nothing like they want to transpire. And I think that if you see they were saying they don't know the ministers of the country, because so she come out there, he should observe it.
One man totally disagrees with the minister's actions. He stated that the Minister Brooms has been an aggressor before she became a minister.
I am not surprised by the minister's action. The minister has always been someone who is arrogant. And so when I heard this report, it didn't surprise me of her behavior. It reflects her character. And I do not believe the minister. I believe the company. Because based on her character and her history, being arrogant, self-centered, selfish, I am not surprised by her behavior. And my hope for her is that this will be a learning lesson for her in humility, for her to be humble.
The police, in a press release, stated that they are currently investigating the matter. However, the widely circulated CCTV footage has discredited the minister's account, and questions are being raised, with some suggesting that the minister should give a public apology. For Channel 2 Headline News, Esther Sobers.
Thanks, Esther. A Ling Avenue wife and her disabled husband feel that their neighbor is taking advantage of them. Wendell Jeffrey visited their home and shared their story.
My husband is a sick man. He had nowhere to sleep last night because the bed is completely soaked.
Roxanne Fredericks of 24 Lane Avenue is very irate as she complains that the neighbor living directly on top of her is causing water to come down and damage her house furnishings.
Last night I came home about 20 to 8 from church. When I came home, I was sitting right here, and I hear like water dripping. But my husband said, my grandson play music. I said, that sound like music. My neighbor end up coming and tell me, girl, water coming down terrible at the back, but you best see if it come. So when I get up and I go at the back, the whole bedroom blind, everything soaked, bed soaked.
Her husband, Dennis Fredericks, who suffered a major stroke a few years ago, said that he had a very uncomfortable time trying to sleep last night.
Last night I had the most uncomfortable rest.
Mr. Fredericks says that he believes that the offender, whose name is given only as Quincy, is using his Muslim connections to take advantage of them.
I'm telling you straight up, he feels because he's a Muslim, you can't tell him nothing.
Ms. Fredericks thinks that Quincy is taking advantage of them because of her husband's disability. She said that her son, who spent a lot of money fixing her home, will not take the situation lightly.
My children don't live here with me, it's myself and husband.
So you think that he's taking advantage of
Yes, because nobody's there like to represent me, to tell him anything. But I know when my son come here today, if he come here today or when he see him, I know the two of them gonna get it out.
Ms. Fredericks says that the problem with the water pouring down on them has been happening for years, and that she has lost hundreds of thousands of dollars in furnishing and equipment, and she is seeking compensation even if it means going to court.
Go to court and let the court decide. Let the court decide.
You have to get rid of it.
Because I have pictures on my phone that I took out so that the police can see.
You're supposed to understand that you have tenants downstairs, but he's not doing anything. You even come downstairs to say, well, sorry, not at all. Now to get back the wall, fix and get the things back, money got to be spent again. I can't work anywhere. I don't work anywhere. I'm a pensioner.
9 years, me husband.
I'm a pensioner.
9 years.
For Channel 2 Headline News, Wendell Jeffrey.
Thanks, Wendell. Don't go away. Coming up after the break, Berbice Bridge shareholders want price increase for crossing bridge. And man found changing car's license. But first, here's your foreign currency exchange rate.
For the latest in news from Guyana, the region, and beyond, visit our website, headlinenewsguyana.com.
The Big King you love just chickened out. Introducing the new Chicken Big King with 2 crispy chicken patties and our signature King sauce. The new Chicken Big King, now part of our Burger King favorites. Only at Burger King, where taste is king.
Need a ride around town and beyond? Look no further than Oasis Ride Taxi Service. With affordable prices and some of the best drivers in the business, we've been delivering prompt and reliable service to Guyana for over 16 years. We also offer tours, chauffeur service, and even car rentals. You can call us at 231-5554 or 225-5496. For deals, specials, and more information, find our page on Facebook. Oasis Ride Taxi Service. Let's go.
Are you kidding me? Really? So wrong. That is not what we were taught at the Green Generation Guyana camp.
Is this the correct way to do it? Drivers, you have 2 options that you can use. First, you can temporarily put your empty plastic bottles in the trunk of your vehicle or on the ground on the passenger side next to you. Or secondly, place them in the nearest garbage bin you see. We need you to play your part in helping us keep the environment clean and healthy. A message from the Ministry of Communities, Green Generation Guyana Sanitation Program. For more information, please contact us on 592-227-2605, or you may find us on the World Wide Web at www.moc.gov.gy.
Welcome back. If the Berbice Bridge owners have their way, all those crossing would have to pay more. Shamar Allen was at the BBCI's press conference today.
In a press conference today, the Berbice Bridge Company, Inc. told those gathered that they want to increase the tolls for crossing the bridge. The proposed hike in cost is to assist with maintenance and to also increase shareholders' dividends. Dr. Surendra Prasad, chairman of the BBCI, said that the shareholders never receive dividends because the company has not made a profit since its inception. The floating bridge was built in 2008 at a cost of $9 billion Guyana dollars. Prasad said they are desperately in need of the proposed raise.
Now today the bridge faces a crisis, and sadly that crisis has been created by us humans. It's a man-made crisis. It's not as if there has been a natural disaster like a tsunami or a volcano or a hurricane that is affecting the bridge. It's a man-made crisis.
Prasad, who is also the chairman of the National Insurance Scheme NIS, the largest shareholder in the BBCI, said that the problems between the Granger administration and the BBCI is likely to affect the willingness of the private sector to partner with the government in future infrastructure projects. He explained that with the NIS, it would be challenging to convince the board to invest in another similar venture given the current situation with the BBCI.
Why would the NIS, the National Insurance Scheme, the pension funds, and other insurance companies invest their monies in the Berbice Bridge? Remember the term. It's an investment of their monies in the Berbice Bridge. They invest their monies so that they can earn a return on that investment.
In their campaign, the coalition promised to reduce the toll costs, which they did. They have also allowed for boats to ferry passengers across the Berbice River, thus impacting the financials of the BBCI. The Berbice Bridge Company say the company has $2.8 billion in losses, likely forcing the company into bankruptcy. The Berbice Bridge chairman said government has violated its contract with the company in the Berbice Bridge Act 2006 and that the Public Infrastructure Minister David Patterson has refused to respond to their correspondence seeking a toll increase. For Channel 2 Headline News, Shamar Allen.
Thank you, Shamar. After robbing a man in Mahaica, the police found one of the alleged perpetrators trying to cover his tracks. Esther Sobers reports.
Following his implication in a robbery on the arms, 28-year-old Travis John from South Bromwell, Georgetown, is in police custody. The robbery is alleged to have been committed on an East Coast Demerara residence at around 10 a.m. today at Mahaica. John was apprehended, and the police are on the hunt for 2 other suspects who managed to escape. According to the police, 3 males in a Spacio car robbed the victim of a sum of cash which he had earlier withdrawn from a commercial bank on the East Coast. Police intercepted the car on the railway embankment, and the driver was allegedly observing changing the vehicle's registrations. However, the stolen money was not recovered. Investigations are ongoing. For Channel 2 Headline News, Esther Sobers.
Thanks, Esther. A zealot West Coast Demerara family was attacked and robbed on Tuesday night. One of the victims was assaulted to the head. Police are in the hunt for 3 men who attempted to rob and, in the process, wounded the victim. According to a police report, the bandits made the attempt around 8 hours and the residents retaliated. The armed men fled the scene empty-handed and in an Allion motor car, which they abandoned at the Zealot Sea Dam after it was involved in an accident. Investigations are ongoing. Don't go away after the break. In the region, CARICOM leaders taking decisions to establish CARICOM single market and economy. And internationally, there were more resignation from the UK government over Brexit fallout. But first, here is this week's bridge retraction schedule.
The Big King you love just chickened out. Introducing the new Chicken Big King with 2 crispy chicken patties and our signature king sauce. The new Chicken Big King, now part of our Burger King favorites. Only at Burger King, where taste is king.
Are you kidding me? Really? So wrong. That is not what we were taught at the Green Generation Guyana camp.
Is this the correct way to do it? Drivers, you have 2 options that you can use. First, you can temporarily put your empty plastic bottles in the trunk of your vehicle or on the ground on the passenger side next to you. Or secondly, place them in the nearest garbage bin you see. We need you to play your part in helping us keep the environment clean and healthy. message from the Ministry of Communities, Green Generation Guyana Sanitation Program. For more information, please contact us on 592-227-2605, or you may find us on the World Wide Web at www.moc.gov.gy.
Need a ride around town and beyond? Look no further than Oasis Ride Taxi Service. With affordable prices and some of the best drivers in the business, we've been delivering prompt and reliable service to Guyana for over 16 years. We also offer tours, chauffeur service, and even car rentals. You can call us at 231-5554 or 225-5496. For deals, specials, and more information, find our page on Facebook. Oasis Ride Taxi Service. Let's go.
Welcome back. In the region, CARICOM leaders have taken a decision to push harder for the CARICOM single market and economy to work with greater efficiency. CNews reports.
CARICOM leaders have taken a decision to push harder for the CARICOM single market and economy to work with greater efficiency. Their decision comes at the 39th Heads of Government Conference, which recently ended in Jamaica. A communique at the end of the meeting said it was agreed that the Prime Ministerial Subcommittee on the CSME would meet quarterly to guide and invigorate the implementation process. The first such meeting would be in September 2018. Marie-Therese Bernard has more.
At the 39th Heads of Government Conference held in Jamaica, several issues were dealt with. High on the agenda was the review of the CARICOM Single Market and Economy, the CSME. The heads reiterated the need to accelerate its implementation, and in that regard they adopted the Protocol on Contingent Rights, which will cover the rights of persons moving to another country under the Free Movement of Skills regime, as well as their spouses and dependents of those who move to another country. Heads of government also put greater focus on advancing those areas which would help to create enabling support measures for a competitive single market. These include an investment policy and investment code, an incentives regime, an integrated capital market, and beginning with model securities legislation. They mandated the Council for Finance and Planning to finalize these instruments over the course of the year and to be completed by July 2019. The government heads also adopted the procedures on the refusal of entry of community nationals and the harmonized form to be used by immigration when refusing entry. In recognition of the need to keep focus on the CSME, they agreed that a special meeting of the conference on this matter would be held in November 2018 in Trinidad and Tobago. Marie-Therese Bernard, CNews.
And internationally, there have been more resignations from the UK government over the Prime Minister Theresa May's Brexit strategy. Al Jazeera News reports.
Trooping into Downing Street, a brand new Brexit minister and a brand new foreign minister. Surrounded by her revamped cabinet, Theresa May survives as Prime Minister after a turbulent few days. But in the current state of British politics, there's no guarantee that living to fight another day means any more than just that.
And my principal job at a time of massive importance for our country is to stand foursquare behind the Prime Minister so that we can get through an agreement with the European Union based on what was agreed by the Cabinet last week in Chequers. A part of that is a strong, confident Britain, a global Britain.
Recent days have seen two senior ministers resign in protest at what Theresa May has chosen as her preferred approach to Brexit. A business-friendly strategy with close trade ties to the EU. Some of those who favoured a clean break have called it a sellout. Among them now former Foreign Minister and titan of the pro-Brexit campaign Boris Johnson and David Davis, the minister who had been in charge of negotiations with the EU. In his resignation letter, Johnson wrote, "Brexit should be about opportunity and hope. It should be a chance to do things differently. That dream," he said, "is dying, suffocated by needless self-doubt." There had been concerns inside Downing Street that Johnson, widely thought to covet the top job, might launch a bid to unseat the Prime Minister. But that would require the support of other senior Brexit supporters in Cabinet and outside. People like Michael Gove, the Environment Minister.
Have you considered resigning yourself over this?
Absolutely not.
And what do you think of Boris Johnson's decision
and David Davis' decision to resign?
Well, I admire Boris and David very much. I'm sorry that they've left the government, but I hope you have a lovely day.
And is Theresa May now in trouble as a result of all this?
No.
Theresa May said she was looking forward to getting on with a busy week. England in the semi-finals of the World Cup, US President Donald Trump on a UK visit. And 100 years since the birth of the Royal Air Force, the Prime Minister trying to give the impression of a leader not in crisis. Jonah Hull, Al Jazeera, London.
Now for your weather report for the week. And that's Channel 2 Headline News for this Tuesday evening. As we take our leave, we invite you to find Channel 2 Headline News on Facebook, YouTube, and our website, headlinenewsguyana.com. You can also tune in tomorrow morning at 6:30 for a rebroadcast and Wednesday evening at 7 for more news. For now, I am Baby Bacchus signing out from your newscast. Thank you for staying tuned and do have a blessed evening.